One of the biggest events in the Dragon Ball series is the fact that Goku hit his head, transforming him into the good-natured character that we know today. But what if he didn't hit his head? Well, to answer your question, alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, bringing you my first episode of What If Discussions, hosted by me and Geekdom 101 as we discuss some of the more general changes throughout Dragon Ball. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So, the best way to think about this is to look at this in three potential plot lines. Scenario A, B, and C. In Scenario A, what could have happened is that Goku, with Grandpa Gohan's influence, even if he didn't hit his head, would have still grown up to be a good guy because of the way Grandpa Gohan raised him. The other possible scenario is that Goku would eventually have grown up, killed Grandpa Gohan, continued his pillage throughout the earth, but would eventually have been stopped by Kami. And the third scenario is a possible way in which Goku himself would have been able to kill Kami with the usage of his Ozaru form. So let's discuss these three plot lines. So Geekdom, what do you think about scenario A, in which Goku would have eventually been a good guy anyways with Grandpa Gohan's influence, pretty much deeming the show in a similar fashion because Grandpa Gohan would have raised him to be good anyways?
I'm not sure if that's really possible because there's really no indication of Goku being good if it wasn't for the fact that he hit his head. He would have not been good in any form, so what would have probably ended up happening is he would have become an Ozaru again and probably caused some serious damage to Earth without, obviously knowing what he was doing wrong and without his grandpa telling him, hey, don't look at the full moon, because he wouldn't have listened because he was out of control. So I just feel like there's no real indicator of Goku ever being good had he not hit his head, so I don't think that one's too plausible, to be honest with you.
Right, and that does kind of seem far-fetched to think that Goku would have stayed the exact same way, even with Grandpa Gohan's influence, considering he was programmed as a baby to, obviously commit these certain acts. But let's move on to the second scenario here, Geekdom. What do you think about a scenario in which Goku would have pillaged the earth, would have caused a lot of problems, but he would have been stopped by Kami, as this is one scenario you suggested?
Goku in his Grade 8 form, in his Ozaru form, would have easily stomped on everybody. We're talking about he would have stomped on the Red Ribbon Army probably by himself, because people forget how strong that Grade 8 form actually is. He would have stomped on most of the tournament fighters by himself. Maybe Roshi would have stepped up and maybe he would have blown up the earth or cut off his tail had he figured it out, but it seems more logical that Kami be the one to actually step in, because he is, of course, the god of Earth. In the dub, he's the guardian of Earth, but it's the same thing. He's protecting the Earth. Now, what's interesting is some people out there are going to say, well, how could Kami have beaten Ozaru Goku? Don't underestimate Kami. That's the first thing you got to remember. He was very, very powerful. I mean, really, really powerful in the Dragon Ball era, like the Raditz Dragon Ball era. He was really freaking strong. Watch the 23rd tournament if you don't believe me. But I think also the fact that he's God and then the fact that he's got Popo at his side, it's not too far-fetched for me for them to have gathered up the Dragon Balls and asked the dragon, okay, how do we stop this ape? And then the dragon would have said cut off his tail or blow up the moon. And don't forget, Kami's up there in the sacred heavenly realm, the lookout. Goku would have never even known about the lookout. See what I'm saying? So it seems to me that the most logical guy to have put a stop to Goku would have been Kami. Because, like we talked about, Supreme Kai wasn't anywhere around. Beerus was asleep. Who else would there have been? But then we know Big Brother Raditz would have come around looking for him. And I believe that Raditz was way, way stronger than Kami. So, very good chance that Raditz would have come to Earth, not found his brother, probably blown up the Earth, and that would have been that. And that would have been a bad scenario either way, which means, of course, if the Earth is blown up, Raditz, Vegeta, Nappa, and Frieza would have never known about the Dragon Balls, and thus the Namekians would have been safe. However, Frieza would have probably still been in charge of his empire. There wouldn't have been anybody to stop him because there's no Vegeta, there's no Goku, no Super Saiyan, and who knows, maybe Frieza would have killed Vegeta. Maybe that'll be a future video we do. What if Goku never met Vegeta? Then maybe Frieza would have ended up killing Vegeta eventually. You never know.
The last scenario is very unlikely, but worth talking about in the sense that there is a plausible scenario that Goku could have killed Kami and Popo as a result of, you know, a battle that can ensue between both of them. Goku would be joined with his brother many years later, and he would pretty much join the Saiyans in pillaging planets and destroying them for Frieza's work. But the reason why I feel like this third scenario doesn't make any logical sense to me is I don't see Goku being able to defeat Kami, even if he can turn into an Ozaru, because of the fact that Goku training with Master Roshi, Goku training with Krillin, Goku traveling the world and meeting all these people and fighting all these different people. And even though the concept of a Zenkai boost didn't really exist back then, in theory, if you say Zenkai boosts still take place, all of those fights that Goku went through led him up to being as strong as what he was. Now here's the thing. In theory, if we say that Kami manages to stop Goku and Raditz comes, you know, obviously years later, what do you think happens with the whole Majin Buu ball on Earth, Geekdom?
Babidi would have come to Earth looking for the Majin Buu ball, because remember, the Majin Buu sealed Majin Buu was on Earth. That's the thing. It wasn't, they didn't bring it there, it was already there, but they wouldn't have had enough energy on Earth at all. There would still be humans and warriors there, but it would have taken them a lot longer to stop them, and then you would have had Supreme Kai getting involved. Another factor I wanted to throw in there is Goku surviving on Earth for as long as he did, because let's say Goku did become a great ape and wipe out the Earth and kill Kami and pretty much did what he was supposed to do, and that's clean up the entire population of the planet. How would Goku have survived as far as eating? Would he have just been hunting his whole life? Would he have known to do that instinctually? Would he have starved to death? That's another question, because the thing is that Raditz did not come pick up Goku right away. They didn't even realize that Goku was even alive until deeper into the series. But we can presume that Goku would have just figured out how to instinctually, you know, based on science that we have about us as a species, as human beings, he would have instinctually figured out a way to survive. And then, as you stated, Raditz would have come to Earth. He would have taken Goku with him. They would have gone to meet up with Vegeta and Nappa, but if that would have happened, they would have just been slaves to Frieza forever, because there can't be a Super Saiyan without Goku making friends with Krillin, right? And Goku would have probably been very submissive to Frieza, and then Beerus would have woken up, and then he either would have or wouldn't have taken out Frieza. It's very hypothetical, but the only good thing we can say about this one, bro, is that the Namekians are not going to get screwed around with. That's the only good thing about this.
The thing with the Buu ball to me is that if Kami manages to obviously take out Goku, and we assume that Raditz comes and wipes out everything anyways, even if Raditz can't blow up a planet, the fact that he would probably just wipe out the planet's existence, it doesn't make sense for Babidi to stay there if there's literally no energy. He'd probably just take the Buu ball and just go, like, you know, to some other random planet. So I just want to respond by saying that. And, you know, in terms of, you know, Goku surviving, I can see Goku up to a certain age being able to survive, but I can't see any scenario in which Goku can survive as a complete newborn. And obviously it would make sense too, because if you're a Saiyan and you're sending these Saiyan babies throughout the Earth, I mean, really, especially if you send Goku to Earth, a very weak planet, you probably wouldn't expect him to really do much anyways, and you wouldn't care because he's a weak Saiyan baby, so who cares if he dies, you know? It's kind of expendable, you know what I mean?
I do believe that Raditz could have probably blown up the planet if he put everything he had into it. Mostly because, you know, with just simple power scaling, you know, if Roshi can blow up the moon, Raditz was so much more powerful than Roshi. I think he probably could have blown up the Earth. All the scenarios seem pretty bad. And even if, like we talked about, even if Kami would have stopped Goku, he would have had to deal with his brother a few years down the road, and I don't think Kami would have been able to screw around with him, bro. He couldn't have. People make jokes about Raditz being weak, right, or whatever, and in comparison to Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball Z, he is, but not in comparison to Dragon Ball, because if you look at Dragon Ball, bro, Piccolo and Goku were the strongest guys on Earth, and they had their hands full with Raditz 2-on-1.
Right, not to mention, you could even say that one Cyberman could, like, wipe out King Piccolo and the Red Ribbon Army, like, instantaneously, like, once...
It's funny when you think about that, right?
Yeah, a Cyberman is, like, godlike terror compared to everything else on Earth. But, you know, ultimately here, to wrap everything up, to talk about some quick character interactions, I think this is pretty straightforward here. I mean, we can safely say Chi-Chi and Gohan and Bulma and all of these other
characters.
All dead. They're either
all
dead or they would have never have interacted with Goku. So I think we can come to a conclusion that this is definitely a bad outcome. Obviously, if you don't count the first one as taking place, which we both disagreed would happen, you know, these two scenarios would definitely go in a negative direction for the Earth. and everybody would be pretty much screwed.
Yeah, all our friends would be dead. So, but all of our friends in the real world, which is all of you in the comments section, let us know if you have any other branching theories about what may have happened. Maybe somebody has an idea that we're, skipping over. Leave your comments down below, and if you have any requests for what ifs, leave those as well, and we might get to them at some point.
And also, I want to give a special thanks to AashanAnimeArt for creating the thumbnail used for this video today. He makes a lot of great Dragon Ball art, and if you guys have any business inquiries, I'll post a link to his Twitter account in my description. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys, and please check out my bro Geekdom in the description. All right.
What the? All right.
All right. All right. So.